Records are meant to be broken, or that's how the saying's supposed to go. But throughout NBA history, there are several records that will never be touched, whether it's because of different eras, changes in rules, or simply because of a performance being too great to ever be replicated or surpassed. And in today's video, we're going to highlight 5 of these unbreakable records. But before we get started, remember to subscribe to the channel for more great content. Now with our first record, we have Wilt Chamberlain and his insane 48.5 minutes per game in the 1962 season. When you saw this video, I guarantee the first player that came to your mind was Wilt Chamberlain, and that's for a very good reason. Wilt is the unquestioned king of statistics and possesses literally hundreds of records, many of which will likely never be touched and can easily fill up this list on their own. But for this video, I want to focus on his minute per game record. Everyone knows a regulation NBA game is 48 minutes, so at first glance the 48.5 minute average may look literally impossible. But the reason his average was over 48 is due to overtime and extra minutes past regulation. Even with this explanation though, it means he had to virtually play every single minute of every game, which he essentially did, as he played 3,882 minutes out of a possible 3,890 minutes that season, missing only 8 minutes all season due to an ejection. This required a godly amount of stamina, as a feat we will never see being topped, especially with how conservative NBA playing times are today due to factors such as load management and players simply not being able to last all those minutes. To give some perspective, here are the minute leaders for the season last year. The league leading mark of 37.9 is over 10 whole minutes less than Wilt's 48.5 in 1962. I think it's safe to say that this record is unbreakable. Next up, we have one of the most famous NBA records of all time with Bill Russell and his 11 rings. Championships are what sports are all about, and no professional athlete in any sport has more of them than Bill Russell. Most players don't even play 11 full years in the league, so to be able to win 11 different championships is unfathomable. Here is a list of the players with the most rings in NBA history. As you can see, everyone at the top is there because of the championships they won playing alongside Russell. You don't see a player who hasn't played with Bill till Robert Horry, who has the most chips in the modern era and is still over 4 behind Russell. So as it stands right now, no one is even close, and given the nature of the league nowadays, no one will ever be able to approach this mark. Back when Bill was playing, there were only 8 teams in the league, and the talent pool wasn't that high as the league was still in its infancy. Because of this, the competition was a lot less, which made it much more attainable to win that many championships than today, where there are 30 teams in the league and the league is filled with talent everywhere. The margin for error now to win a single championship is very minimal, so to be able to pull that off over 11 times is virtually impossible, and ensures that Bill's feat of having more rings than fingers will never be touched. For our next record, we look at Rasheed Wallace and his 41 technical fouls in the 2001 season. Rasheed was one of the more talented and underrated players of the 2000s, and was one of the key pieces of the 2004 Pistons championship team. But aside from his on-court abilities, he was a well-known hothead and would rack up technicals for simply looking in the direction of a ref. But nothing tops his 2001 season, where he received an all-time record 41 technical fouls. Now the reason this record is unbreakable isn't because no one's crazier than Rasheed, but rather because the rules around techs were changed in 2006 that makes this record virtually impossible to reach. They made it so that after a player's first 16 techs, they would receive a 1-game unpaid suspension. And for every 2 techs after 16, they would receive another 1-game unpaid suspension. Additionally, it would also substantially increase the fines players would receive for techs. You pair in the missed games from suspensions along with the amount of money it would cost a player, and it's clear why this record is essentially impossible to reach and why no player would even want to break it. Next up, we have John Stockton and his all-time career assist record. Everyone knows Stockton is one of the greatest passers ever, but there have been tons of great point guards in history. So what makes his career assist total so untouchable? It's the fact that he was able to combine excellent, consistent statistics with a historically durable and long career. To show you what I'm talking about, Stockton is second all-time in assists per game with 10.5. But along with this elite per game production, he also played over 19 years in the league and only missed a total of 22 games, resulting in him playing the 5th most games in NBA history. This combination of historically great averages along with insane longevity have led him to racking up 15,806 assists in his career. To put into perspective how absurd this total is, second all-time on the list is Jason Kidd, who is still 3,715 assists behind Stockton. A player could average 10 assists per game and play all 82 games for 4 seasons, and the amount of assists they'd rack up would still be over 400 less than the difference between Stockton and second place. That should help paint a picture of how wide the gap truly is and how untouchable the record is. For our final record, we have LeBron James and his double-digit scoring streak. Scoring double digits, aka dropping 10 or more points, isn't something that's too big of a deal. But to be able to do it consistently, game in and game out, without exception for a prolonged period of time, is hard to do. There's so many factors that can come in and ruin this streak. You could get injured early on in the game, you can get ejected, or you could simply have an off night. The point is, sports are unpredictable and things happen. Which is why LeBron's double-digit scoring streak, currently standing at 1,102 games and counting, is so impressive. To put into perspective how historic this stretch has been, the last time LeBron scored under 10 points was January 5th, 2007. That was nearly 16 years ago now. 16 years is longer than the vast majority of NBA careers last. The fact that this is just how long it's been since he scored in single digits is insane. When LeBron's streak started, Giannis was 12 years old, Luka was 7, and Paolo Banchero was 4. The second longest streak all time was Michael Jordan at 866, which is still over 236 games behind LeBron, or in other terms, nearly 3 full 82 game seasons. The fact that LeBron's streak is still ongoing with no end in sight and is so far ahead of anyone else makes it impossible to imagine it ever being topped. Add in all the unpredictable factors that could go wrong at any given game to stop a streak like this from even existing in the first place, and it's clear why this is a record that belongs on the list and deserves the unbreakable label. Click the card on your screen for another great video and make sure to subscribe for more great content.